Hello everyone, welcome back to Baking with Frank. Looking forward to today because we have a new ingredient, well, a new old ingredient. This one's going to scare you a little bit. It is baking ammonia. It smells exactly like what you would think it would. Yeah, I opened it up and it smells like ammonia. I'm just going to put it out there. It smells like ammonia. So I Googled it because that's my best, means to get information. And the Google assures me that the smell and the flavor, I really don't want to think about the flavor, but the smell and the flavor both dissipate as you bake it. So, fingers crossed. All right, so today we are making sugar cakes. I don't really have any idea what a sugar cake is. I've not experienced one. Somehow in my life, I may or may not have been deprived in that sense. We'll find out here shortly. But sugar cakes is an original Frank recipe contained in the Handwritten Frank cookbook. So we're gonna give that a run. So stay with me here, we'll see where we get. Okay, so the original recipe would have gone up, hopefully before I started speaking here. That is the bulk recipe. I cut this in half because it just didn't seem like that big of a recipe to me. We'll see how that works out. We might have a whole lot of sugar cakes. Hey, sugar cakes! We're gonna see where that goes. But out of the gate here, we are looking at 1 pound of sugar and 3/4 of a pound of butter. And we're gonna cream that together and then add in the eggs. You can see that right here in the last week's new old new segment. You saw this. So I'm going to get that running here. And using the old scale here to weigh out 1 pound of sugar. Wow. Okay, well, we're gonna have plenty of these. Oh, come on, scale. You gotta be lying right here. Oh, apparently not. All right. There we go. All right, so we're gonna call that 1 pound of sugar. Everybody stay with me. And put that right in here with the butter. We'll get this going. All right, so I should mention that the butter I did let soften, and the eggs I've had out coming to room temperature thanks to my friend Debbie, who pointed out that in the time of Frank, they didn't have the refrigeration that we do. So thanks Debbie for that. And I am now adding the recipe. Frank's recipe says 1 pint of milk. I'm adding 1/2 pint of milk because we're cutting this in half. And it would have been whole milk, going off of that theory from Debbie. Would have been whole milk, so I don't have that, but I have 1/2 and 1/2. So I realize that's probably gonna be a little rich. So there's a cup of 1/2 and 1/2. A pint is a little more than a cup, so we're gonna give another splash. I'm probably gonna get a question of where the 1/2 and 1/2 is for the coffee in the morning, but we'll deal with that when we do, and we'll do a little splash there. You didn't know this was a water show, but now you do. And we'll make everything better with a sugar cake. So I'm gonna put in the milk and the eggs, and we're gonna give that a spin. We'll see how everything goes there. Yes, that was my fancy egg technique that I learned at Friendly Restaurants when I was in high school 1,000 years ago. There we go. All right, pop those in. We're gonna give this a run and be back. We are going to add some flour here. I am preheating the oven to 375 degrees. I guess that one's be dropping something. Preheating the oven to 375 degrees so that we get these, this one said a semi-moderate oven. So, I went with what I know there, which, as we all are finding out, is not a whole lot. And, just following up on the experience from last week. All right, movement, there we go. We're gonna call that pound. And we're doing a 1.25 pounds of flour. So I'm gonna use one of these weights here. This actually is a weight for a window that I was able to get, but they're £1 pound each. So, you know, that's a good help. Yeah, that feels about right. So that's a help. So we can do that. I can bump this over to, see if I can do the math again, because if we remember last time, I had a little trouble with that. All right, so there's another 1/4. There we go, look at that. All right, so that's a 1.25 pounds of flour. I'm pretty sure that if I put that all in at once, it's just gonna explode all over me. So I'm gonna get a spoon here, get another Kate spoon, boom. And we're gonna put some of this in a little at a time and get her mixing. All right, here we go. Okay, so there's the flour in. Now, if I'm following along, and I am, we're going to need a 1/2 ounce of ammonia. I'm gonna keep my nose well back from this. You can see just how delicious it sounds. Oh, wait. Let's take that off. Because clearly we need 1.5 pounds. Moving, moving. There we go. Now, normally I wouldn't put you through that torture, but since we're using ammonium carbonate, Baker's ammonia, which I think is also Baker's Hawthorne or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, there we have it. So we're gonna pop that in here. I'm gonna try to sprinkle that around just because, you know, let's get that ammonia flavor everywhere because that'll be just delicious. And you'll probably notice in the Frank recipe there really isn't a flavoring. So I'm just gonna go with our standard vanilla here from our friends up north. I'm gonna say a tablespoon, but I'm gonna give it a little more. Why not? A little extra vanilla flavor. We're gonna give that a spin. We're gonna see if the oven's up to speed, and we'll take it from there. I gotta tell you, when I took this off of the mixer, the smell of ammonia was overwhelming. It has since dissipated a little bit. I had a call come in, so I had to take that, stuck it in the fridge. And I'm gonna say off-gassing because that's the term I don't know. I don't know if it's a real baking term. We're gonna call it one. So I'm gonna scoop these out. I've got a this size scooper, which I'm gonna say is about a tablespoon. I don't know if that's true. Get them here on the, see that works really well. Get them here on the cookie sheet, and we're gonna throw these in the oven for 10 to 12 minutes, see where we end up. So a couple of things while we're letting those cook. I'm using all-purpose flour, which I'm always gonna use because it's what we've got here. I don't know if that's what Frank used. I'm guessing not, because Frank wouldn't have done that. But also, on top of the sugar cakes, I'm sprinkling a little bit of sugar, just a little pinch on top. I know you can't see this, but trust me on this one. Go with me, use your imagination. Put just a little sprinkle on top. All right. So the first batch is out of the oven. I have to tell you, the smell of ammonia is a little overwhelming, but also under that is a smell of cake. If this works, it could be brilliant. I probably put them a little too close together or used too big of a blob, something, but I mean, it's ammonia. So a few things. Number one, I have no opportunity to faint in the next 15 to 17 hours. Number two, the oven is cleaner than it's ever been. Number three, I opened a door and put on the fan because the ammonia smell is overwhelming. So, to be clear, I can't imagine working in a commercial bakery at the turn of the 20th century using this stuff because the smell is just incredible. That said, that is a beautiful cookie. It's like if cookie and cake had a baby. Does not taste of ammonia, which is a good thing, to be clear. Unless that's your thing, we don't judge here. But next time, and I'll include the recipe using baking powder or baking soda or whatever the equivalent is. I'll Google that and figure it out. Because, yeah, don't, unless you just want the natural experience, no. But anyway, these are good. This recipe, as I did it, made probably 4 dozen cookies, so probably split it in half again and go from there. But gotta say, Frank, you're on a roll. One other thing while I finish my sugar cake. Hey, sugar cakes. My beloved spouse came home and pointed out, if they're sticking, why don't you use the silicone pads? Which I did, and I'll include a picture of what that turned out. They just went, so probably not gonna do that again. Okay, it's a new day, and what I've learned is there's an ongoing ammonia issue. Now, I couldn't taste it, but my spouse mentioned that all evening there was the ongoing ammonia flavor. I've frozen the cookies in the hope that that would help them off-gas more. And again, this morning I don't taste anything, so it might have just been in the air, but I'm throwing that out there. Maybe don't use the ammonia. All right, we'll see you next time.